It is a difficult space to be in.
Yeah.
It is, especially when it's an unfair situation. When you really have no control over certain things. And I always said to myself, look, I didn't have control over the decision. I went the decision with this person. They took it from me. I didn't have a choice. So now I want to make sure that I don't give them the chance to take it from me. I'm just going to knock them out next time. it's like you got to kind of switch your mindset, and say,
I love it.
Okay, I'm not going to give them the opportunity.
I love it.
To make that decision.
I love it.
I don't have control over what they say, but I have control over how I train and how you show up, make that outcome.
Yeah.
If you're a go-getter, faith-driven and family-focused and need to break through to your next level, this is the podcast for you. Your self-talk can reshape every area of your life. It's time to dream and think big. Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience with Darnell and Tracy Self. It's time to elevate, baby. Let's get into the show.
Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience. I'm Tracy Self. I'm here with my co-host, Darnell Self. And as you can see, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We have a special guest today.
The champ is here. That's right. Today we have women's 5-time world champion boxer, Isra Wynn, Hall of Famer. This is huge.
In the house.
Self-talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we really appreciate you being here with the Self-Talk Experience, because we know the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we attract for ourselves. And I can't imagine the things you had to say to yourself. You know what I mean? Seriously, after being hit, like this one right here, she was hit one time.
Oh, no. First of all, I'm not going to get hit because I don't fight.
She's a
I'm
lover,
put that out
not
there.
a fighter.
We'll call 911 for you. Everyone knows this. I will hold your purse.
Oh,
everything. Yes. Somebody has to call 911, right? Somebody has to get the grease. Right, exactly. And when I'm with Isra, I feel so safe. Oh my God.
Hey, when I'm with Isra, I feel safe too.
That's exciting. I appreciate that.
No, we appreciate you being on. And we've been doing this self-talk podcast, as you know, and we've had a great friendship for so long, right? We're family, right? And it's just been awesome to see you not only in a professional space where you've been an inspiration in terms of health and an inspiration in terms of all of your accomplishments as a professional athlete, but to watch how you just inspire the people around you.
Thank you.
Right? I mean, like friends and associates. I don't know if anyone who's been in touch with you has not left that relationship better off than they were prior to meeting you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no.
That means so much to me. Thank you.
No, we mean it. We mean it. So
can you tell us a little bit about, real quick, just about Isra Wynn growing up? How was it?
I moved around a lot. Grew up in Canada. Of course, I was born in the Middle East. Moved to Canada when I was 2 with my parents.
Hold on, where in the Middle East?
In Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
Then when I finished, I went to college, 3 years of college, decided to take a little break and said, I got to think about what I really want to do. What I was doing was not it.
Okay.
And that's when I actually started boxing. I took up boxing because I was always an athlete in school.
Okay.
And
what did you do in school? What type of athletic?
Everything
Really?
you could imagine. I tried every sport. Yeah.
This is why you were in Canada?
Yeah. Hockey, baseball,
Really?
soccer, everything.
Wow.
Baseball.
I played every single sport.
Wow.
Yeah. And then moved to the States in 94.
Okay.
And then continued with boxing. Decided to compete, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Wow. What made you decide, out of all the sports that you were interested in, that boxing was the one?
Well, I actually didn't know when I started that I actually wanted to compete. And it was really just to stay in shape initially.
Okay.
Because I was doing all these other sports. And I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not for everybody.
Right.
And I just loved it. It was like it's like a chess match, hit and try not to get hit. And I just fell in love with it. My trainers were like, you have natural talent.
Wow.
I was like, okay. So
all right. So I've got to ask this, Isra. So you said, like a chess match, you hit and try not to get hit.
That's probably what I'm thinking too.
So at some point, you obviously get hit.
absolutely.
Do you remember the first time, like really getting hit and you're like, hold up? Like, you remember that?
Absolutely. I do remember that. And I remember 2 different times because in practice is different from in the ring. So in practice, when you first get hit, that's like the initial, like, never been hit before. This is the first time. You have headgear on and everything.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, like what in the world? And then it either is going to make you quit or it's going to make you keep going. And I kept going. So I tried. I said, you know what? I'm going to try it.
Listen to that self-talk.
Right. And then the second time is when you're actually competing in the ring and you have no headgear on, smaller gloves. It's way different.
Oh my.
And so when I got hit, then I was like, ooh, am I sure I want to do this? This self-talk
Right.
says, are you sure you want to do this?
Right.
And
but you're in it at that point, and you're so competitive. I can't imagine.
I am. And you know what? I had such great training. I had amazing defensive training. And I just kind of went back to the drawing board and did more training. And then 11 months later, I had my second fight because I had to go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
Now, how did your parents feel about you being a boxer? Were they supportive? Were they nervous? Were they scared for you getting hurt?
The funny thing is they didn't know.
Wait, how did they not know?
They lived in the Middle East still. I was here.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't really know what I was doing.
Okay, so they didn't know to worry.
They had no worries yet because they didn't know. They thought maybe I was still playing soccer or something. But the funny thing is they did an article on me in the Yemen Times and my parents saw it.
Oh, wow.
That's how they found
How
out.
they found out?
That's part of it.
Right.
So, yeah. But by then I think that I was kind of at the end of my career.
Okay.
And so they had
didn't
nothing
find
to worry
out
about.
at all. It was towards the end.
Yeah, it was towards the end. Yeah.
All right. So I have to ask this because, obviously we're talking about boxer and you're a Hall of Famer. It's a huge accomplishment.
Yes.
Like there's got to be only a few handful of people who have accomplished what you've accomplished in your space. And so huge kudos there. And I'm imagining, you in this space, you're a woman in the gym, a woman in boxing, right? Minority. So I'm sure there were some barriers, some obstacles. You share some of those barriers and obstacles. And
yeah, no, absolutely. It was a struggle. Actually, it was. A lot of people don't realize it is a male dominating sport, and there's a lot of men in the sport that are the trainers, the managers, the promoters. And so it's hard to be in that space knowing that they don't have your best interest. They're trying to run you out the gym. They're trying to not promote you or put you on a fight. And even down to like my first fight where my manager and the other girl's manager were kind of in cahoots to get her a win, and just kind of throw me in there. And so it's hard. It's a struggle, you know, but that's when that self-talk comes in and said, this is what I want. I want this. I want to prove to everybody that I can do this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Regardless of what they say or what they try to do.
Right.
And I've been in the ring with guys in practice, and it's like they've had bad days and they take it out on you, and you gotta fend for yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to prove that you're here to stay. And I've left the gym plenty of times in tears.
Wow.
Just because it's like I want it so bad.
Yeah.
But then you're like, you get all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
So at that moment, right, when you're walking out of the gym and you're in tears, and obviously you're trying to reassure yourself that, you know what, come on, you're better than this. You can do this. Don't let them take you out of something that, you can win at, and you can be successful at. And I know a lot of people dealing with this, not just in boxing, but right. And just in life. And you're like, man, I just feel like this was my calling. This was something I was going to be successful at. And then there's those hiccups. Mm-hmm. So was there anybody like good associations you could reach out to and they encourage you? Was it you just having to talk to yourself and affirm yourself? What would help you to get through that and to overcome that?
Well, initially, I had to have a good team of people around me. And I think initially I didn't have that.
Okay.
And so I had to kind of reorganize the people that were around me, from my trainer to my manager to whoever was around me.
Yeah.
And to block out all the rest of the people that were like, you can't do this. And I was always saying to them, you know, if you can't say anything nice, don't say it at all.
Yeah.
You know, just stay away from me. I'm here to stay. But then I have a trainer that is there for me 100%. And he's the one that gave me, you know, we're outdating ourselves, but cassette tapes to listen to with positive affirmations.
Oh, wow.
And I would listen to them at night before I went to bed. And it would say, I am a champion. I'm a champion. I'm, you know, great. I'm this, I'm that. And I would listen to it all through the night as I would sleep. And in my corner, he would do the same thing.
Wow.
When I came out of a round and sat in the corner for that minute, he would say, you got this.
Yeah.
And he would give me positive, you know, affirmations. Mm-hmm. And that's really what really helped. And to this day, he's still, I love him to death. Like he's one of my best trainers. He's the one that really taught me defense.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Can you imagine, you know, every night someone sharing with you, like you are, whatever it is you want to be, right? You are a millionaire or you are a giver. You have abundance in your life. And so for you to have that affirm over and over and then have the people in your circle who continue to affirm that, I bet that's helpful for anybody and everybody in all areas of life.
Absolutely. And I know that it takes a certain kind of discipline and stamina to physically be fit.
Yeah.
But tell us about the health part. Like, how did you eat? How did you train for that?
Well, I didn't actually start really concentrating on my health until like probably about 2 or 3 years into my career. And I realized, like one day I realized, you know what? I got to start eating better, because if I'm going to, you know, weigh in at this weight to fight at this weight, you know, you have to, I don't want to lose 10, 15 pounds in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make sure that I'm doing it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And so I got a nutritionist and I got someone who could tell me how to eat and how to do. And that's when, you know, I really took more, you know, focused on, you know, what I was doing for my health. And, you know, when you say physically, of course, it's a demanding sport physically.
Right.
However, it's 90% mental. So that's the biggest thing, is you have to make sure that you're mentally strong, you know, and everything around you has to be right.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's so true. Make sure you speak right there inside of but they're so true. And I think about folks who are massively successful in any space.
Yeah.
Right. It's been their attitude over everything else.
Yeah.
Right. Because their attitude dictated their behavior.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's not just working out when you felt like it, it's working out when you didn't feel like it. And that was attitude. Yeah. Right. Because I'm sure it's plenty of times you're like, oh, again.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a grueling sport. So it's like I was working out 2, sometimes 3 times a day for 6 days a week. And it was like in the morning I run, it was like clockwork. Morning I run, afternoon I would do boxing, and then the evening I would do 3 days a week, like strength and conditioning.
Wow.
And at that time, not a lot of people were doing strength and conditioning because they always thought, oh, if I do this, then I'll gain bulk and I won't be able to fight properly. You know, but I was like, no, this is going to help. So it was grueling.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah. And what was it? Because you had your reasons why or your goals in front of you, like what caused you to say, you know what, I don't feel like it, but because even today, right, we worked out together and I don't know if you guys follow her on Instagram, but it's pretty serious, right? And I shouldn't say pretty, it is serious. And I remember jumping rope with you. And I was like, if we have to jump for one more minute, my legs are going to fall off right now. Like, it's crazy, right? So, but I'm sure there are times where you're like, I don't feel like it. What is it that drives you? Is that changed, I guess, throughout different seasons in your life, or you've always had this drive?
I think that in the athletic space, I've always had that competitiveness, that I want to win. I want to be a champion. Even when I started boxing, it was more so, I know I'm going to be a champion. And then you back it up after that. It's like you do the work to get to that space. And I knew that I could do it. I knew that when I started, that was the goal. Goal was champion. That's it. Nothing less, nothing more. It was like, I couldn't go to the Olympics. So it was like, okay, I'm going to be a professional fighter and I'm going to be a champion. And that's what drove me, because so many people were against me. Yeah. That it was like, okay, you can be against me, but I'm going to show you.
So that's one of your motivators. When people tell you can't do something, or folks are perhaps doubting you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm that way too.
It lights a fire under me. Even when I lost some fights, it fueled me to come back even better.
You want to say something? Go ahead.
No, because I was going to ask you, when you do lose, how do you deal with the disappointment? How do you come back from it and not stay in a low place?
Yeah, it's difficult. I think it's difficult for anybody.
Yeah.
In not even in athletics alone, but just in general.
Yeah.
That it's such a it's a hard loss. So a lot of times when you don't deserve that loss, it's even worse. Because I had some fights that were taken from me.
Wow.
And I had to pick myself up and know that I'm going to come back better. It motivates me to work harder to prove that, they weren't right. And it is hard. It's hard to know that you won that. And even if I didn't win and I had a bad day, it's like, okay, I gave my best, but it wasn't good enough. So I have to come back and do it again.
Listen, you are a true champion. Let me tell you why. Because I'm thinking about, as you're talking, I'm thinking about so many times in life, things don't go our way. And, we just starting to get on track, just starting to save our money, or got our first investment, and then somebody hits us from behind.
Yeah.
And that person didn't have insurance. And you were doing everything right.
Yeah.
And you feel like, why is this happening to me? Like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and this happens to me. And to get yourself back to a mental place where you can say, I'm not going to let this though take away the momentum that I was gaining in life. And it's so easy. I bet it would have been so easy for you to say, you know what? Forget this space, forget this industry. You know what I mean? They took it from me. Yeah. I worked hard. I worked out 3 times a day in some cases. Yeah. Right. I've gone through this, all the obstacles you haven't even talked about that you overcame. And then for them to take something from you and was undeserving, unfair. And this is what I'm saying. And this is why it's so important in self-talk, because life isn't fair.
Yeah, it's not.
Like, there's going to be a whole bunch of crap that happens that we're not deserving of. You're like, well, I don't understand. Someone said something that was untrue, and it's a rumor. And now you got to deal with that. That's what I dealt with from one of my teachers. I'm like, but I didn't cheat. Yeah. And they were like, no, you were looking on other paper. And I really didn't. I mean, I would tell you now because it was like the 4th grade. So I would say it now, right? But I really didn't. But I felt so bad because you gave me an F on the test, and I'll never forget it. And I almost felt like, man, forget school. Yeah. In the 4th grade. Yeah. But that, because I was upset. Yeah. Yeah. So when you're saying this, I'm thinking, man, that's a true champ. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It is, because it's so easy to just stay in that low place. Yeah. It's so easy. It's the easy way out. Yeah. Every time to just give up. Yep. And to make excuses. And you can say, well, they were pushing me out anyway. They didn't want a female champion anyway. Yep. Yeah. I didn't have the right people people around me anyway.
Yeah.
Right. But you took that and you switched it around.
Yeah.
And that's what the best self-talk does.
Yeah. And that would have been a valid excuse. People would have said, right? People would have said, nah, girl, for real.
Yeah.
Right. Like people would have said, oh, yeah, at least you're not a quitter. You know what I mean? They took that from you.
Yeah.
And you'd have been like, yeah, I know. Right. You gave it a valiant effort.
Yes.
Right. But you use what could have been an excuse as a motivator.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That like the champ, yes, you have the belts, but the champion I see is a champion who's a champion who's resilient.
Yeah.
Who persevered.
Yeah.
Who overcame. Right. That's why you're such an inspiration.
Thank you. Yeah. It is a difficult space to be in.
Yeah.
It is, especially when it's an unfair situation. When you really have no control over certain things. And I always said to myself, look, I didn't have control over the decision. I went the decision with this person. They took it from me. I didn't have a choice. So now I want to make sure that I don't give them the chance to take it from me. I'm just going to knock them out next time. it's like you got to kind of switch your mindset, and say,
I love it.
Okay, I'm not going to give them the opportunity.
I love it.
To make that decision.
I love it.
I don't have control over what they say, but I have control over how I train and how you show up, make that outcome. Yeah.
Can you tell us one of your best fights that you felt good, you won? How was that? How does that feel?
I mean, it feels good. Every single one is different, even like them being wins. Everyone, you take something out of every one of them. Yeah. I don't know if I have a favorite, but I know that there was one girl that I fought in Atlantic City, and she was talking smack. She was talking smack before, during, and after. and those are the best ones because I'm not a talker. I'm not one of those ones that comes in your face and talks all this. I'm like, okay, you talk your thing, whatever. And she was so sure of herself. And we got in the ring, and I had such a good fight. I could feel that it was a good fight.
Yeah.
My performance was on. I trained well. Everything went well. I think I beat her up from first to 10th round. And after the fight, I went up to her to shake her hand, congratulate her, all that stuff, being nice to her. And she was like, you lost that fight. You lost. You ran the whole fight. I was like, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? You have 2 black eyes and a bloody nose. Like, where? Like, I don't understand.
Right.
So, you get those type of things.
Yeah.
She was mad the whole time. I was like,
that is so funny.
I'm sorry,
All right. So look, because I'm sitting next to the champ, I'm going to take the liberty to ask a question for me. I know we got a whole audience watching us and listening to us in your favorite podcast channels, but I'm going to ask a personal question, okay?
Sure. Okay.
So I had this goal, do not laugh at me. And I had this goal to lose 50 pounds by 50, right? And I got close. It was like 47 pounds or something like that.
You did an awesome job.
I did. Well, I gained 25 of it back. Really? You going to laugh? Both of y'all laughing?
All of us go through those ups and downs.
This is going to be my question.
Always, yeah.
It has to be like, there's got to be a level of discipline that I'm trying to wrap my mind around where you want to stop, but you keep going. Like, I'm on a stair climber sometimes for 5 minutes. I'm like, today is not a stair climber day. I got this. And I told myself I'm going to do 30 minutes. Yeah. But after like 10, I'm like, oh, today, is this that one of those days?
Yeah. Because you like cookies.
Ooh, really?
You do like cookies. You do.
And y'all are laughing in the background too? Really? Okay, so.
But go ahead with your story about the.
They're gluten-free cookies. Sugar-free?
No dairy.
Fat-free. Eat cookies, lose weight. That's a new program. Right. So look, but you stop it. So Isra Wynn.
Yes.
Like, have you ever had those moments? Am I the only one where you feel like, okay, this day, I thought I was going to do 3 miles or 2 miles. And what's in you that keeps you going? Like, how do you stay so consistent? Because you're so consistent. Or perhaps there are times where you're inconsistent, but you just get back and you don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, because I've been doing it for so long, it's kind of second nature to me to know when I've gained weight and know when to kind of, all right, it's time to like
put the cookies down,
get back on. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you go through your ups and downs and you just have to understand what works for you and what doesn't. Like, I wouldn't be able to do the stair climber for 30 minutes, but I'll jump rope for 30 minutes.
Of course you would.
So yeah, so it's different. Like, you have to find something that you like to do.
Okay.
Right.
And change it up every now and then. You can't be stair climbing every single day to try to get to your goal.
Right.
Your body will get used to it.
Right.
So you just have to do different things, motivate yourself by doing something exciting, doing something fun, you know, even dancing or whatever, it works. It's still you moving. You don't have to, like I tell people all the time, you don't have to go into the gym and kill yourself every single day just because you want to get to this point. You know, for me, it's hard for me to be like real strict with myself if I don't have a goal set.
Okay.
That's
So
good.
if because I had like fights coming up, I
Right.
was strict. I
That's
was like,
so
okay,
good. Yeah.
I'm going to be this because I have this goal to reach. If I don't have a goal, if I don't have something that I'm working towards, then I slack. I don't have like the discipline that I would have if there was something there.
There you go,
Like you
champ.
said, you were doing 50.
That's right.
You had a goal.
Yeah. So I just set a new goal just now. So
you sure did.
Yep. So I need to have more goals. I need to go to more beaches, and that way you can just take me dance. I can eat cookies while I dance. No.
Go, see?
Well, I have a question.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Are you really retired? Are you ever coming back to the ring? What's that look like for you in the future?
You know, I actually thought about doing UFC, which is crazy.
Wow.
And I would, because I think, you know, I'm so competitive with myself. I said, I can do that. I can beat her. When I watch it, I'm like, I can beat her. All I have to do is train because I'm disciplined in training.
Right.
I can do it.
You know, we don't heal the same.
My husband's like, no, you're not going to do that.
You know, we don't heal the same.
We don't. And I don't think like that.
Right. I know you
I
don't.
think like I'm still 20.
That's a great self-talk, though.
Yeah, I think like I'm still 20. So I think that I can still do everything I did when I was, and better.
Wow.
Because we're older,
that.
we're more experienced.
Yeah.
So my experienced self would be like, I can do it even better now than I did before.
Wow.
That's some self-talk
And
right
if the
there.
money's right, I would come back. I would come back if the money was right.
All right.
Well, I would be in your corner.
Thank you.
Cheering you on.
Thank you.
Calling 911. Hey, listen, we appreciate you so much. We're going to have to bring you back to talk about health because, you know, we started eating right for our blood type because of meetings with you. And we definitely need to bring you back on to talk more about health as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys having me. Thank you so much.
Thank Champ, Hall of Famer, 5-time women's world champion boxer, Isra Wynn. Hey guys, make sure you continue to tune in to Self-Talk. Why? Because the things we say to ourselves eventually determines what and even who we attract for ourselves.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Talk Podcast with Darnell and Tracy Self. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. And we'll see you next time. And remember, talk good to yourself.